Secretary of Defense and noted sperm bank drinky Pete Hegseth is humiliated this morning as a new deep background story reveals not only that he doesn't know what he's doing in his job, but that another key figure, one loathed by Hegseth himself, is actually the one calling the shots. And to add insult to injury, Donald Trump likes the other guy more. If you're concerned about potential war with Iran or, anything else involving the U.S. Armed Services, get comfortable. Have we got a story for you? Next on The David Reddish Show. Welcome to the show, my beautiful Occupy Democrats viewers. I am your host. And once again, please make sure to subscribe to our channel right now if you haven't. We are so close to hitting 300,000 subscribers, and I'm itching to cross the threshold. So help me stop scratching by subscribing. You will also stay up to date on breaking news out of Washington and on other fun details like why the next Democrat to run for president should use the theme from Shaft as his campaign song. Seriously, see our other videos for more on that. But let's dive into this next breaking story, shall we? Drinky Pete Hegseth. Few Trump officials routinely embarrass the administration, not to mention humanity, like the former Fox News host. From fathering children with women who are married to other people, to his drunken strip club antics, to raging at a room full of generals for not clapping when he walks on stage, Hegseth's status as a punchline never seems to improve. But you might wonder, what does he do all day in his job since he's obviously not qualified? Well, there's no shortage of photo ops like these. Oh, it gets more humiliating, so stay with me here. Hegseth's cosplaying and posturing as some great soldier never seems to stick the landing with the public, maybe because it's so obvious, or maybe because Hegseth, as the head of our armed forces, should have better things to do. Instead, he loves to pose for workout selfies, rant about culture war issues, and pick bizarro fights like this one.
Well, after months of friction over how the military plans to use Anthropic's AI systems, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has called the company's CEO to the Pentagon tomorrow. Anthropic has a defense contract that's worth up to $200 million. Its Claude chatbot system, you may have heard of it, was reportedly used in the operation to capture Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. The Pentagon wants to use Anthropic's AI for quote, all lawful purposes, while the company is pushing back on that, especially around things like domestic surveillance or fully autonomous weapons.
Gee, the thought of Drinky Pete and President Strokey Pants trying to illegally surveil the American people. What could go wrong? But Hegseth's ridiculousness and his recent spot with Anthropic raises other questions. For one thing, the US has a massive fleet moving toward Iran at the moment, ready for battle. Why exactly is Hegseth not more focused on, a potential war in the Middle East? Isn't that a much more important part of his job than posing for pictures with a bunch of white cadets or hiring Christian nationalist speakers to preside over military events? If you're thinking the answer should be yes, you are correct. But that does not change the reality that Hegseth isn't the guy who is actually running the show over at the Department of Defense. And now we know who is. Check this out. This morning, CNN has run a lengthy story detailing that Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Caine, is the one responsible for most military decisions in the current Trump administration. The reason? Hegseth has no idea what he's doing, and Trump likes Caine, a former F-16 pilot, more than he likes Hegseth. The piece cites 10 anonymous Trump and Department of Defense officials, all of whom claim Caine is very careful in how he interacts with Trump. He doesn't want to get fired like a previous chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Mark Milley, whom Trump canned when Milley clashed with him on policy. Caine is far more strategic, in part because he worries about Hegseth's qualifications and worries that a potential replacement wouldn't have the good sense to push back against Trump. The same article goes on to detail Caine's role in trying to emphasize that any attack on Iran by the United States would have an uncertain outcome, and that he is discouraging military action against the country. And perhaps the most amazing part? Trump actually listens to him. Quote, Caine has a direct line to Trump, close quote, said one of the people familiar with the dynamic. Quote, he has to respect the chain of command, but he's the president's guy. Hegseth can't just shove him in a corner, close quote. Perhaps for that reason, Hegseth is not too fond of Caine. For example, when Trump and Hegseth assembled the generals last year for a meandering and humiliating speech, Caine had the wisdom to tell the generals in advance not to applaud or cheer, but to remain solemn to uphold the image of being non-politically aligned. This confounded Hegseth and Trump, both of whom saw the event as an opportunity to give a campaign-style rally. So, Drinky Pete sips and lifts while Dan Caine actually, does his job. I guess we shouldn't be surprised. People like Caine have devoted their lives to serving the United States, not to using a cabinet post to get followers on social media. So why does Trump keep Hegseth around? Simple. As I have said on this show before, Hegseth, in Trump's eyes, looks good on TV and loves to attack the press. And I have a sneaking suspicion that General Caine isn't the only shadow secretary in the cabinet. That is, someone of lesser rank, in essence running the department because the secretary is inept. But here's my question. How is Hegseth going to react to this story that makes him look like an inebriated dullard with a weird case of the not gaze? Stay tuned, folks. This is the David Reddish Show.